Hello, I hope you can see me. I don't have a camera too low. You guys can't see me. Well, let's see here. Let's get going. Let's grab some of these pillows. Y'all know what time it is. It's that encouraging hour again. It's the hour of encouragement. And I want to welcome you. Welcome, 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 welcome. You know what I always say. Come on in the house. This is a place where we gather. This is a place of safety. This is a place of understanding. This is a place where we gather for the Father's wisdom to see what He has to say about things pertaining to our lives instead of ourselves, instead of others. This is a place where I just want you to feel welcome, like you're in the safety of your own home and in the comfort of your own home. So just sit back with me and relax. All my new viewers, if there be any, you're more than welcome. You are more than welcome here. More than welcome here. And feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe. This is a new channel. But, you know, you got to crawl before you walk. So let's get down to business. Let's post on Hates People. Let's see what the Father has to say Today, God led me to the book of Job. And when I first saw the book He took me to, you know, when you see Job, you're like, oh, but it is what it is. You can't deter it. That's what He take you. That's what He take you. That's what He wants you to talk about. That's what He wants you to talk about. So today, we're in the book of Job, and we are in the 5th chapter. Oh, this thing is showing you the book of Job, chapter 5. Let's go to Job chapter 5. And if you know by now, if you're accustomed to me, then you know what I do is I go in and I read the chapter. Because He didn't necessarily take me to the chapter. This morning, He took me to chapter 5, verse 11. He has a way that He deals with me. He took me to verse 11, and I read verse 11 on down. But what I do is, I read the chapter. When I get with you guys, I read the chapter. So we're going to do a quick run through. We're going to read the chapter, then we're going to go in line by line, precept by precept, and we're going to, see what God is saying about this thing, or what He gives you. The book of Job, chapter 5. Okay. And it says, "Call now, if there be any that will answer thee. And to which of these saints wilt thou turn? For wrath killeth the foolish man, and envy slayeth the silly one. I have seen the foolish taking root, but suddenly I curse his habitation. His children are far from safety, and they are crushed in the gate. Neither is there any to deliver them. Whose harvest the hungry eateth up, and taketh it even out of the thorns, and the robber swalloweth up their substance." Verse 6. "Although affliction cometh not forth of the dust, neither doth trouble spring out of the ground. Yet man is born unto trouble, as the sparks fly upward. I would seek unto God, and unto God would I commit my cause, which doeth great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number, who giveth rain upon the earth and sendeth waters upon the fields." This is where He started me from. "To set up on high those that be low, that those which mourn may be exalted to safety. He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. They meet with darkness in the daytime, and grope in the noonday as in the night. But He saveth the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty. So the poor hath hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth. Behold, happy is the man whom God correcteth. Therefore despise not thou the chastising of the Almighty. For He maketh sore, and bindeth up. He woundeth, and His hands make whole. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Yea, in 7 there shall be no evil. Yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue. Neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh. Neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the field, of the beasts of the earth. Excuse me. For thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. And thou shalt know that thy tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy habitation, and shalt not sin. Thou shalt know also that thy seed shall be great, and thine offspring as the grass of the earth. Thou shalt come to thy grave in a full age, like as a shock of corn cometh in his season. Lo this, we have searched it, so it is. Hear it, and know thou it is for thy good. That's awesome. Like I said, when I first went to Job, I was like, oh no, Father. Because sometimes he leaves me. And it seemed like lately he just been leading me to these places that's like a little weary on your spirit, you know? Because sometimes when I read, I'm like, oh, come on, Father. But I cannot complain. I must do. So today he led me to Job chapter 5. And in Job chapter 5, if you're not familiar with it, because most of us know a little bit about Job. Job was a man who went through much affliction. And he was faithful to God, but God allowed him to go through a lot. God allowed him to go through a lot. And it wasn't because he had done anything wrong. And during that time, he lost everything that he had. Everything that he had. His wife even lost faith in him. His wife told him, won't you curse your God and just die? Job lost everything. His friends, they had their minds made up that it had to be something that he had done wrong. Is the reason why God would allow all this tragedy and destruction in his life. He was sick. He had boils all over his body from the crown of his head to the sole of his feet. And God afflicted him in this way. God intentionally afflicted Job in this way, not because Job was cursed, not because Job had done wrong, not because it wasn't something Job had done wrong. It was because Job had done so much right in the eyes of God that God had, in a way, God had his faith in Job to the point where he allowed Satan to afflict him, gave him permission to do it because he knew that Job trusted in him in that way. He brought Job to the forefront. Have you considered my servant Job? This is God, the conversation that he had with Satan. So God brought Job up to the forefront to tantalize Satan with, hey, I got one. And Satan said to him, well, you got that hedge of protection around him. You remove that hedge of protection, I guarantee you he'll be a whole completely different person. But we know at the end of the story, Job was not. He kept his faith. He kept his faith. No matter what the enemy came at him with, Job kept his faith in God. And so when I start here at chapter 5, this is a conversation basically where Job is having a conversation with his friend Eliphaz. Eliphaz is asking Job a bunch of questions. Where we start here, I think it starts at chapter 4, but this is a conversation between Job and his friend Eliphaz, or whatever his name is. And so let's start. We got chapter 5, and we have 27 verses. So let's see where God led me to. Let's see what God is saying here, because this, of course, happened to Job physically then, but it's still something that happened. So if God led me to it, and you're watching, that means he's saying, he's speaking to someone. He's speaking to someone in a way. So verse 1 says, call now, if there be any that will answer thee, and to which of the saints wilt thou turn? So he's basically saying, who is it that you'll be able to call? More than God. Call and see if somebody will answer. call. We put our trust in man, and we expect for people to be there for us in a certain kind of way, and then when they're not, we get disappointed, or we lose trust in them, or we look at them in a certain kind of way. But this is God saying now here. Well, this is what it's saying. I'm not sure because I'm starting at chapter 5. Who's speaking to whom? Okay, it looks like Eliphaz is speaking. But I'm taking a lot of this stuff. Since he started me at chapter 5, let's just take this stuff for our knowing. Because he didn't start us at chapter 1 or 2 or 3. He started us at 5. When he started me at 5. So we're here at chapter 5. Let's just take this for our knowing, what he's saying in chapter 5. So he says, call now if there be any that will answer thee, and to which of the saints wilt thou turn? Call around and see, who got your back. Who you gonna turn to? Who got you like that? For wrath killeth the foolish man, and envy slayeth the silly. Okay, like I said on my channel, I want it to where even a child can understand what's being said here. Wrath. What is wrath? Wrath is hatred. Just hatred. Anger is wrath and hatred. Wrath killeth the foolish man. What does foolish mean? Foolish means someone who doesn't have complete understanding. A fool. Someone who is ignorant. So hatred and anger causes the death of someone who doesn't have understanding. For wrath killeth the foolish man. Anger and hatred killeth people who are ignorant. And envy slayeth the silly one. Envy. What is envy? Jealousy. What is slayeth? Another word for kill, to slay. And silly. Silly is another word for foolish. So anger and jealousy kills fools. But right above that he said, call now. If there be any that will answer thee. And to which of the saints wilt thou turn? That means, dang, a lot of people, so many people are like that. Who is going to be left to call? Because most of them are wrathful and envious. Verse 3. I have seen the foolish taking root, but suddenly I cursed his habitation. I have seen the foolish taking root. That means I have seen foolish people sprouting up. Let's look at like plants. When a plant takes root, when you plant a seed, the first thing it does is it sprouts a little leg, this little vine. It's a root, and that root finds soil and it goes down to that soil. Roots stay in the soil, but then after the roots go down, then whatever it is that's planted, it comes up out of the ground. And he's saying here, I have seen the foolish taking root, just about to get ready to do something, and suddenly I curse his habitation. So he's saying, I've seen foolish just about thinking they was just about to do something, and all of a sudden I curse where they live at. Your habitation is where you live, where you stand. For his children are far from safety, and they are crushed in the gate. Neither is there any to deliver them. So those who are foolish, what makes them foolish? Their envy and their anger. How do we know this? Verse 2, where it says, for wrath killeth the foolish man, and envy slayeth the silly. Foolish and silly are the same thing. Killeth and slayeth are the same thing. Wrath and envy. Wrath is anger, hatred. Envy is jealousy. Anger, hatred, and jealousy. They all are reasons why someone who is foolish is killed. And here God is saying, a foolish man, his children are far from safety. That means when you have that anger in you like that, anger and hatred to it's enough to catch God's attention to make him curse when you live at. Put it like that. When you have that in your spirit, man, like that, he's saying his children, someone who's like that, their children are far from safety. Your children ain't safe. You can't conduct yourself like that. And this is what makes them foolish, because you can't think that you can conduct yourself from that place and that everything about you is covered. It's a vanity to think that you can be that wrathful and envious and just hateful. God said it's the death of someone who is like that, and whoever is that way, his children are far from safety. Your kids ain't safe with you being like that. Your children aren't safe. You can't adapt that type of mentality, that type of spirit, and think that everything around you is okay, because it's going to bring foolishness. And that's why foolish people do it. It brings foolishness, and foolishness is going to bring about death for whoever doing it. He says, I have seen the foolish taking root. So angry and hateful and envious, getting ready to do something, and all of a sudden, but suddenly I curse this habitation. This is God speaking. And you jeopardize your own children doing something. And they are crushed in the gate. Neither is there any to deliver them. Just when the kid's about to make it out, like, see, this type of thing, to me, this is like the type of thing that brings about a bondage. It's like a passage where you're going from one place to another. Let's say spiritually, because everything that happens physically, it began spiritually first. So when a person is this way, it's really no telling what they actually are doing for God to say he cursed their habitation. But whatever it is, it's so foolish in nature, it's so foolish spiritually, that it's causing for their children to get caught in between, not being able to make it through to something or a place that God has for them, past where they are, and on the way to something else, the children are being crushed in the gate, like the gates are closing on them. Spiritual things are closing on them. Doors are shutting on them, not in front of them, but on them, and they are crushed in the gate. Neither is there any to deliver them, and there's gonna be no one to save them. No one to save them. Why will there be no one to save them? Because God himself is the one who's causing it. Why would God allow this to happen to these children? Because somebody's parent is being foolish and jeopardizing them in that way. Because the parents are angry and jealous and taking root. Whatever that means, whatever it's doing, whatever it is, God is not pleased with it. And he said, but suddenly I curse his habitation. Suddenly, all of a sudden, right when they began to take root on doing something that came from a place of wrath and came from a place of envy, right when they began to take root on whatever this work is, suddenly, this is what God is saying he has done. And it's jeopardizing their children, and their children are crushed in the gate. A crushing. It's never good when God crushes you. It's never good when God is crushing you and he's afflicting you when you haven't even done anything wrong. Been there. When you're being crushed and afflicted for being obedient, because he's just testing and trying you at that time. But other people don't see it in that way. They're seeing it in a way of, just like Job, what did you do? You had to do something wrong for all this to be going on. No. I understand this. I understand being afflicted. And I've been led in his word where he let me know I will not afflict thee a second time. And that's how I knew what was going on after the fact. I couldn't figure it out for myself. Why is all this happening? To me, I felt like it's just a season right now. It must be a season I'm going through where this is just what's going on in this season of my life. But no, he led me in his word and he let me know, no, I had afflicted thee. I afflicted thee. I was testing you and I was trying you. And it came at a time where it was happening because I was being obedient to him for something else he told me to do. And I did that. And it caused other things to happen along the way. And sometimes you feel like when you're being obedient to God, all of it's going to magically be like, oh, this right here just popped. No, sometimes that obedience, he doesn't tell you when the good thing is coming through being obedient to him. He don't even tell you that there's more bad things to come through your obedience. But I will say, with me, after me being obedient and going through, because it wasn't just me by myself, but the decision was mine to make out of being obedient to him. And the best you can hope for is that those around you trust you as a person enough to know that when you say, God told me this, and the best you can hope for sometimes, and you can't really hope for that because people will be like, no, you done lost your mind. but you're being obedient to what he told you to do. You don't really get a lot of understanding. You get people looking at you as if you're crazy. You done lost your mind. I don't think God told you that. You're going off the deep end. But you know where he led you. You know what he told you. When you his child, And a lot of times that's all you have. You know what I'm talking about, siblings. Sometimes he doesn't bother to explain, because if he explained everything, how would we learn to trust him after the process of it? And that's the hard thing about faith. It's trusting him no matter what. And going through the affliction that he's taking you through. And you're like, God, why are you doing this to me? I did what you said. And not having an explanation. He's silent at the time and not having much understanding, and having to learn how to be still and know that he's God and trust him. Because he wants to see if you trust him like that. He wants to know, you with me or you not with me? Do you really trust me like that? Do you? And he already knows. And he knows the end from the beginning. Sometimes he wants you to see that you can go through certain things and still hold on to him. And afterwards, he blesses you so much for your obedience. But I said all that to say this. It is a hard thing to be afflicted and crushed by God when you haven't done anything. It's bad enough to be crushed by him it's worse to be crushed by him when you've done something wrong. But then again, I don't know, to go through the crushing of God, when he's crushing, because he's the potter and we're the clay. When he's forming you, when he's molding you, when he's taking you, and he's not gonna tell you what to do. You're just the clay. You don't get to speak. You just get to be formed. And if you won't allow yourself to be formed, if you're rebellious and you're not obedient to the crushing and to the forming, he will take that piece that won't form correctly and he will throw it in the furnace. Now, where's the furnace? Hell? What is the clay? We as people, individuals, souls, spirits, people, the ones who won't allow him to form them the way he wants, he will. That's after discarded. You're not going to not allow me to form you in the furnace forever. And this is why it's a hard thing to go through. It's a hard thing to be his child. It's hard, but it's worth it. So when I read here about this crushing of the children, these are children who are being crushed that don't even know that they're being crushed. Don't even know why they're being crushed. They're just going through hard things because of someone who came before them. That's causing them to go through a crushing that God is putting on them because someone is so angry and so envious. And they're killing themselves in being this way and being foolish and taking root to cause things to happen. And suddenly God is intervening and God is cursing the place where they live. Whoever this is, and they're causing on their own children. They're putting a burden of oppression and causing the children to get caught in the game. The children aren't safe. And then God goes on to say, and there is nobody who's going to deliver because he's the one that's doing it. Oh, y'all, this is why it's not easy to be obedient to him all the time. It's not. most of the time it's not. Sometimes it is when you have a spirit of obedience to him, and the thing that he asks you to do is not a hard thing for you to do, because it doesn't go against the type of person that he's created you to be. Like, it don't interfere with your character. How you, okay, that's nothing to do. I can get on there and record today. I can, because I wasn't about to record today, but he told me to get up, stop watching this Netflix and get up from here, and this is what I want you to talk about, what I led you to today. That wasn't just for you, that was talk about it. So I got up and did it. Not a hard thing to do. But how about when he asks you to do something that kind of goes against how you personally feel about your own life? That's when it's hard to be obedient. It's not always easy to be obedient. And I think a lot of saints like that. Be hypocritical, like, oh, I'm so saved, sanctified, everything that God asked me to do, I'm going with it, I'm trying to. Let's be real. When did the walk get that easy? This is the hardest thing that you can do. This is the hardest thing that you can do, is pick up your cross and follow Christ. The hardest thing in the world to do. And the whole world hates you for doing it. It's the hardest thing to do. Because this is the thing that gives you the highest reward there is to get, which is a crown and an inheritance and an entry into the kingdom of heaven and life eternal. That's the highest reward that we can get as being a creation of him. So what do you think you're going to have to go through to get the highest reward? You're going to have to go through the hardest thing to get the best thing. So when people be like, oh, well, yeah, you know what, come on, let's be real. Come on now. This thing is hard. It's hard. It's hard. And it's a hard thing to do. But it's a thing that's so worth it in the end. It's a thing that is so worth it in the end. Okay, verse 5. Whose harvest the hungry eateth up, and taketh it even out of the thorns, and the robber swalloweth up their substance. This is all the stuff that's being done to the children, because all this stuff is being said about the children. Let's go to 4 and 5 and read it all together. Okay. His children are far from safety, and they are crushed in the gate. Neither is there any to deliver them. Whose harvest the hungry eateth up, and taketh it even out of the thorns, and the robber swalloweth up their substance. Their substance, what is it? Stuff that was supposed to be left to them. That's their substance. Whose harvest the hungry eateth up. What is a harvest? Okay, the Bible always talking about reaping and sowing, seed time and harvest. It's a season for this, it's a season for that. Their harvest is like the work of something that was done before them. The harvest is when you get ready to reap what's for you to bring in. It's the good thing. It's the reward for all the work that's been put in. This is what the harvest is. So when he says, whose harvest the hungry eateth up. And taketh it even out of the thorns. What was supposed to be the harvest so bad that you go through thorns to get cut up and whatever, just to get even that was scattered amongst the thorns that's left spiritually, but physically the manifestation of it is what? Something that was supposed to be left, and the robbers swalloweth up their substance, stealing from them. Scattering, stealing, taking even what's scattered amongst the thorn, and taking the harvest from the children and swallowing up their substance. This is what that anger and that envy is doing, killing the foolish man. Verse 6. Although affliction cometh not forth of the dust, neither doth trouble spring out of the ground. Although affliction cometh not forth out of the dust, affliction don't just come out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Affliction don't come out of nowhere. It has a reason. It's caused by something. And neither does trouble spring out of the ground. Trouble don't come out of the ground. Affliction don't grow up out of the ground, and trouble doesn't come out of the dust. These things don't arise up out of nowhere. There's a reason for it. Yet man is born unto trouble, as the sparks fly upward. Man is born into trouble. Excuse me. It just happens because we're all born into sin. So trouble follows us. It's going to follow you. It's going to follow you even when you're saved. Man is born into trouble, but it's all about what you choose along the duration of your journey and whose way you grab hold to. You know, as the sparks fly upward. I'm not going to talk too much about them sparks, but he talks about sparks a lot, and those sparks, sometimes, you know, when you hear God talk about sparks in the Bible, he can really start talking about witchcraft. The sparks. Those sparks always coincide with talking about graven images and stuff like that. I've seen it too many times, so I know that when he says these sparks come with that. Okay. As the sparks fly upward. Verse 8. I would seek unto God, and unto God would I commit my cause. Okay, now I know Eliphaz is talking. I would seek unto God, and unto God would I commit my cause. That means I would go in prayer and see what God got to say about it, and I would take it to God. I would plead my case to God, commit my cause, see what He has to say about it. Which doeth great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number, because He's able to do these things. I would plead my case to God because He's able to do great things and unsearchable. Nobody can search out the things of God. Nobody is able to uncover them and peekaboo, I see all that you about, God. Nobody can do that. There's no way for any of us to know all of the great things that God has done, plans to do, did way before He created man. Don't know what He gonna do after heaven. He ain't told you all that what He gonna do. All He gave us is the end of the book of Revelation for us to know, and told us that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. So we don't know all, and we never will, because that's what makes Him the Son. This is what makes Him the omnipotent. This is what makes Him the only one true and living. He is God and God alone. And even if we do get a crown and make it to heaven, we still won't know all that there is that God knows. Ever. And nor should we. He's able to do great things and unsearchable, marvelous things. So I would plead my case to God. I would commit my cause to God. Who giveth rain upon the earth and sendeth waters upon the fields. Who can do that? Okay, yeah, scientists got to where they know how to agitate the clouds, salt and all this stuff that they do now. And sendeth waters upon the fields. So this is why man in our time feels as if they are gods, because they've gotten technological, and they know how to mix chemicals, and now have the, machinery and the equipment and the mechanisms and, the aircraft to get up in the clouds, whereas back then, we talking about, this was Job and I'm talking, there wasn't no planes back then in the sky. There was no man mixing chemicals. There was nobody trying to figure out how to agitate a cloud and put enough chemical in it to cause it to get full and burst. None of this was happening. So sincerely, these words came when it said, who doeth great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number. He's still great. But who giveth rain upon the earth and sendeth waters upon the fields. He was the first. And He is the last. Okay. Like I said earlier, verse 10 is where he started from. I just read all of that prior because I was trying to get more of an understanding of what he was trying to say to me. And so now verse 11 says, to set up on high those that be low, that those which mourn may be exalted to safety. Okay. Don't He got a way about Him? He will take you at your lowest point. No matter who you are. Don't matter what you've done. Doesn't matter where you've been. Doesn't matter who you wrong. He will take you at your lowest point and set up on high those that be low. Take you from low, and he'll put you high. He don't have to ask nobody. He don't even have to confer with you. He doesn't. He is God, and he is God alone. So good. That those which mourn may be exalted to safety. See, even though, and see, this is, I just caught this. That's why I like this. I like this. Because he got the power to do it. Remember earlier I was talking about the children being crushed because of something somebody before them was doing? Even though he has the power that those which mourn may be exalted to safety. Because earlier it was saying up here that his children are far from safe. This is talking about somebody who's doing something wrong that's causing something on their children. Later on down here in verse 11, it also says that those which mourn may be exalted to safety. So of course the children are going to mourn because they're being crushed in the gate. God is a God of mercy. He's a God of mercy. 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty. What does that mean? That means somebody has a plan. Somebody crafty. What crafty person? A crafty person is a person that very skilled and strategic at being wicked and evil. Crafty. A lot of that word in the Bible too. He disappointed the devices of the crafty. What are the devices of the crafty? The devices are the things that they use to do this wickedness and evil, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. This is all God doing this. This is all God doing this because he is the one who knows. You may have something or somebody come against you. You don't even know that they're coming against you. You might not even know somebody's doing something to you. You might have somebody smiling right in your face and planning and plotting for your demise, for you to never rise again. You don't know, but he does. God knows. God knows. He disappointed the devices of the crafty. How is he able to do that? Because he's aware. So that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. What is we talking about here? What are we talking about here? We're talking about when he said, I have seen the foolish taking root, but suddenly I cursed his habitation. He knows. He knows. 13. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. The wise. So this is someone who has intelligence enough for the Bible to call them wise. That means they're smart. They're smart. They got intelligence. They're they're not stupid. However, they're foolish. Intelligent, but foolish. You ever heard people say, so smart you're stupid? So smart you're stupid. I've heard that before. That's basically what this is. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. So they're crafty, intelligent, good at being deceitful, good at being dishonest, good at, putting their hands to evil works, and good at doing it. But he taketh them in their own craftiness. So whatever it is that they're doing, God himself taketh them. And the thing that they're doing, that's the thing that takes them out. Just the fact that they're doing it, that's the thing that's causing all of this. And the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. The counsel of the froward. What makes you forward? Deceitful, evil. All of these are the same type of words. Is carried headlong. The counsel of it. All goes together hand in hand. All carried away with each other. 14. They meet with darkness in the daytime. They meet with darkness in in the daytime. In the daytime, they gather themselves together. Crafty counsel, the wicked. They meet up with each other, bringing darkness to the gathering in the middle of the day, in the daytime. They bring about darkness in the daytime, and grope in the noonday as in the night. And in the middle of the day, they grope. What does it mean to grope? To grope means for there to be darkness around you, like you can't see. Like it's all dark in the room and you're trying to find a wall or the light switch. That's groping. In the middle of the day, they grope like that, but at the same time, in the middle of the day, they're the ones that's bringing about the darkness. This is what he means when he says, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. That's what he means when he says that. They're the cause of the darkness in the day. And then the reason why they can't see in the day and groping. And grope in the noonday as in the night. In the middle of the noonday is like 12 o'clock. That's high noon. And groping around like they're stumbling in the darkness, can't find. In darkness. 15. But he saveth the poor from the sword. Sword. Always see swords in the Bible when it's talking about some type of attack or war or fight. He saveth the poor from the sword. Who attacks the poor? The foolish, because of their wrath and their envy. That's who attacks the poor. But he saveth the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty. From their mouth. So they're not just attacking with their crafty devices, whatever it is that they do. Not just doing that, but God is saving the poor from whatever strategy they're using against them, from the craftiness, their forwardness, and God is saving the poor from their mouth, the lies that they're telling, the deceit, stuff that's being spread, just saying anything, putting stuff out there. Why? Because of anger, hatred, and envy. This is what the crafty devices are. They're not just attacking in one way with skill of being wise, of being intelligent, and how to be deceitful. They're taking root. We talked about sparks. That means they're work spiritually against the poor. They're using their mouth and telling lies. And from the hand of the mighty. God is saving the poor from their sword, their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty. What makes somebody mighty? Mighty means somebody who has power. Power comes in a lot of different forms. You can have physical power where you got some pull, like the president or some of these presidents of other nations and stuff. World power, mighty. This is what makes you mighty. You can be mighty in different ways. You can be mighty in different kind of power spiritually. You can be spiritually mighty. You can, God is saving the poor from the hand of the mighty. 16. So the poor hath hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth. This is why. So that the poor have hope. God does not want the poor to lose hope. Poor doesn't just mean you somebody who don't have money. You can be poor and be rich. You can have a lot of money, but you can be poor in spirit. Downtrodden, just conflicted. You can just not have confidence. You can be poor in a lot of different ways. You can be poor so that the poor have hope. He wants the poor to have hope. What is hope? Faith, trust in Him. That they're not alone. That He is with them. And iniquity stoppeth her mouth. Woo, God is calling iniquity her. Iniquity. What is iniquity? Like I said, I want even children to understand. Iniquity. We know what sin is. Sin is when you do something that's wrong and God is not in agreement with it. How do we know what God is not in agreement with? Okay, God is not in agreement with you doing things that he said not to do. How you know what not to do? Because God gave Moses 10 commandments. And all 10 of those commandments, what is a command? That's not an asking. It's a commandment given to us by our Creator. We are commanded to do these things. These are the laws of God that he wants us to live by. So when you break those laws and you break those commandments, then you're sinning against God. Now, I said that to explain what iniquity is. Iniquity is when you know those commandments and you know those rules, and instead of sinning against God and going and asking him for forgiveness so that you won't do it anymore, you make a choice to continue to do it over and over, knowing that you're sinning against God, knowing that he's not pleased. This is what iniquity is. Iniquity is making a choice to continue in sin. So it's no longer looked at as sin in God's eyes. Now it's looked at as iniquity. And he said, "In iniquity stoppeth her mouth." That means something has gotten way past far gone. Way past far gone, and it's doing too much talking. It's having too much to say. To where God is saying, "So the poor hath hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth." This is why he's going to save the poor. Let's go back up. "But he saveth the poor from the sword." He saveth the poor from war, from their mouth, those who are doing all this stuff against the poor, telling lies and spreading all these things, and from the hand of the mighty, from the powers that's causing it, so that the poor hath hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth. This is why God's going to do. Glory be to God. Father, have mercy. Have mercy. 17. Behold. What does behold mean, y'all? It means look, pay attention. Watch this. "Happy is the man whom God corrected." Now this is how good God is. Even for whoever is doing all of this, he still is giving his look. Behold, happy is the man whom God corrected. If you're not foolish, if you're wise, and God corrected you, and you don't get offended by his correction. This is what makes us wise in spirit. When we can hear what he's doing and what he's saying to us. When we take heed to the warning. When we say, "Okay, I hear what's being said here. I'm offended by it and I don't like that," and you just leave it like that, he's letting you know in advance. That's foolish. That's a foolish standpoint. Don't take that standpoint. Go in and hear the whole thing. Because down here he's saying, "Happy is the man whom God correcteth." Now, for the children, if there be any, when he says man, he's not just talking about men. He's talking about mankind. Man, woman, boy, girl, old, young. He's talking about anybody. Mankind. Happy is the man whom God corrected. How do we know this? Because he said in his word, he chastiseth those that he loves. What is chastisement? Chastisement means punish, to discipline. That's just like a parent with a child. When a parent loves a child, they chastise that child. They discipline that child. And however way they correct that child, chastisement is a form of correction. It's a form of discipline. It's a form of, I'm going to do something to show you that you are wrong because I love you. And I don't want you to get to a point where you begin to get out of hand with all of this because nobody is intervening and telling you you're wrong for that. Nobody is correcting you. Because yes, you may think that I love my child so much I don't want to, say nothing to him. I don't want to see him hurt. I don't want to. No. But how much more hurt will it hurt you and that child if you don't correct them now? And what will it cause later because they're not used to being corrected? And that thing gets out of hand. Now you're dealing with what? When they don't see that as wrong because nobody said nothing then. So how can somebody say, see, this is why it says, happy is the man whom God correcteth. Because he chastiseth those that he loves. If he's correcting you, if he's saying something to you, you're coming across this video, and you're feeling some kind of way, that is him correcting. And he's not saying something to you because he is not about the messenger. It's never about the messenger. It's about the message. It's never about who was sent. It's about he who did the sending. It's never about the messenger. It's never about the person who's saying it. But if hearing something from someone, you know that people know when they're hearing the truth and when they're not. Don't nobody got to tell you when somebody lying unless you're naive. No one has to tell you when someone is lying to you unless you're naive or you're young or you just don't know no better. When you're grown, you know good and well what you just heard come out somebody's mouth, if that was the truth or if that was a lie. We know. We know. So it's not about what somebody has to say. It's about who's saying it. He's saying, happy is the man whom God corrected. If he corrects you, that means he loves you. He loves you. Therefore, here we go. Therefore, despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty. That's what what I just said. Therefore, despise not thou. Don't despise the chastening of the Almighty. Don't despise it. What does it mean to despise? To hate it. To can't stand it. Don't despise that. That's not why he's doing it. He's not correcting you so that you would despise him. He's doing it because he's trying to let you know he loves you and he don't want you to get out of hand before it's too late. Because once it gets out of hand, now he's going to be, you're being foolish now. And here's the cost of all of it. It's going to cost the children not having safety. It's going to cost suddenly your habitation being cursed. It's going to cost, for wrath killeth the foolish, it's going to cost death. Because wrath killeth the foolish man and envy slayeth the silly. These are all the things that it's going to cause. It's going to cause for the children to be crushed in the gate and for nobody to deliver them, no person to deliver them. It's going to cause the harvest, for the harvest to be eaten up, even that's what's in the thorns to be eaten up, and for the robber to swallow up the substance of the children. It's going to cause affliction. It's going to cause trouble. And it's not going to spring up out of the ground. It's going to cause a lot of things. These are all the things that he's saying it's going to cause. So when he steps in to correct, don't despise him. He's not here to cause more envy. He's not here to cause more wrath for you. He's here to cause correction. Let's read on. For he maketh sore and bindeth up. What does that mean? That means he will whoop your behind. He maketh sore. But after he whooped that behind, then he's the same one to get the band-aid and wrap it up, put the salve on there, and let you know, yeah, I had to cut your blood, and here's why. Why does he do this? Because he's a good father. He's a wonder. He's the best there is. And he loves us. This is why. For he maketh sore and bindeth up. He woundeth, and his hands make whole. That means he'll cause a wound. He'll strike. He'll cause a wound, but he'll also be that loving father to come back and make it whole. Put a healing on it. He can strike and he can heal. And he will, because he loves. This is how good he is. This is how good he is. This is how merciful he is, y'all. Some of us. Okay. All of us. Really. All of us. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. This is to the poor. This is to whom he loves. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. In famine he shall redeem thee from death. He shall redeem thee from death. What is famine? Famine, for those who don't know, and it's not that I'm supposing that you don't. I'm just supposing that people of all ages may be watching this, and someone may not know what famine means. So I try to explain everything. Famine means it's a time when you see a lot of famine in places like Africa, or that's what they show us on TV. You see a lot of famine in Africa. Famine is like where there's not enough to eat. There's no food. Famine. There's none grown. There's the earth is dry. You can't plant. You can't harvest. You can't sow. There's nothing to reap. There's no harvest. There's nothing because the earth won't yield to you. The earth won't. It's a famine. No food. Famine means no food. So what he's saying, in famine he shall redeem thee from death. Redeem. What does that mean? That means in a time where there's nothing to eat, he will redeem thee from death. That means you don't have to worry about death in a famine. God will take care of you in a famine, and in war from the power of the sword. In war, the power of the sword, the weapon of warfare. The sword is a weapon of warfare. So in times of war, he will redeem you from the power of the weapons of warfare. Don't necessarily have to be a sword, physical sword. Of course, not many people use swords nowadays. Like this is back then, they used swords. It was physical. So when we read the Bible now, we know that our perception of it, to take it for what we're seeing it as now, is to take it spiritually. A sword is any weapon of war. War can come in many different forms. So what he's saying is, and in war, from the power of the sword. And like I said up here earlier, you don't know what type of warfare people might be call themselves and unleashed on you, but God is aware of it. Which is why he's saying all of this, to not worry about it. You're not going to go without. You're not going to go without. You're going to eat. You're going to have what you need. And in time of war, he'll deliver you from the power of the sword. How do we know? Because when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord God will lift up a standard against him. All of this is in his word. This is why it's good for us to study it and to know it. And it's not just about knowing what the enemy is doing. It's not about focusing on what the enemy is doing. None of this is really about, to me, when I read the Bible. Because I read a lot of things that can kind of bring your spirit down a little bit. But it's better to know and to read it and to have an understanding of what God is actually saying to you in that time. Ask him, he'll give it to you. That spiritual wisdom, he'll give it to you. All you got to do is ask. He'll give it to you. But I read a lot of things that kind of get my spirit down. And it's actually a building. Because you learn how to see past all of those things and always go in and focus on what did God say about it? What did God do about it? What is God saying he will do according to your faith in him? What can you be hopeful for? I had to learn how to read the Bible in that way. To not focus on all this stuff that seems to be derogatory, and derogatory or not, if it's happening, it's happening. But you don't have to make it your focus. It's just for your knowing. It's for your understanding. It's for your edification, so you'll learn. Okay, now I know that in times when this is happening, God said that, thus saith the Lord, blah, 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 blah. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. It's for us to learn. It's building blocks. It's spiritual building. Okay, so save you from the sword. Okay, verse 21. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue. You ain't got to worry about what's being said about you. God will hide you from all of that. You'll be hid. How you know you'll be hid? Because it's things that's probably being said about us now that we don't know nothing about. You'd be surprised how many things has been said about you, and you have no idea what. If someone was to tell you, you would know the first thing that they were talking about, and that's real. You would be surprised some of the things people are out there saying about you. I have been in the past. I got to the point now where I don't even care. Like, really, if I don't know, then that means my Father's word is true. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue. Hide me, Lord. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. Because a little bit I did know, I was like, what? But yeah, and that's exactly how he wants his children to take it. Don't worry about that. I got you. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. How do we know that? Because, okay, I just gave you a verse. This is the whole verse. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. And every tongue that rises up against thee, thou shalt condemn. That means anybody say something about you, you have the power to condemn their tongue. God gave his children the power to condemn it. And you don't condemn it by what you want to say about that person. You go on his word and you find out what he said about people who do that. And you speak his word on it in the name of Jesus. That tongue that just rose up against you has been condemned. So let a lie be a lie. And he said, this is the heritage of the servants of the Lord God, and our righteousness is of him. If there be any righteousness in us, it comes from him. And if it is in us that come from him, then by our heritage, being his servant, we have the right to condemn any tongue that rises up against us. This is what belongs to you being his child. Or you can just be like, you know what? Father, just hide me from it all. And he'll do that too, because he just told you that he would. Okay, thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue. Neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. You ain't got to worry about when everything around you is falling down and crumbling around you. You do not have to fear it. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be afraid because you know that it's not for you. It's not for you. How do you know it's not for you? Because he said that here. He said he shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. It ain't for you. It's not meant to touch you. It's not for the poor and needy. Now when you're not the one that's not being angry and aggressive like that, and you're not the one being envious, and you're not the one doing all this foolishness. All of this stuff is for those who can't get right spiritually and don't want to get right physically. Can't get right. Verse 22. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. God even said at destruction and famine. You know how serious that is if both of them things are going on at one time? That's like in a war zone where food has run out. He said, at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh. This is how good he be to you. Be still and know that he is God. You ain't got to worry about it. Let people do what they do. Don't strike back. Don't fight back. Don't worry about it. Don't return the favor. Don't make no moves. Don't be still. I just said that on the last video. It still applies. Be still and know that he is God. Let him do. He said vengeance is his. He shall repay it. He will recompense his enemies because they think that they're your enemies, but they're not enemies to. They're not your enemies. Because see, you ain't supposed to have no enemies. You his child. You're not supposed to have any enemies. What you doing with enemies? The only enemies that you are allowed to have are those who set themselves against you and they look at you like you are the enemy. That's the only way you can have enemies. But you ain't supposed to have no enemies. You're not supposed to have no enemies. We're not supposed to have any enemies. So we're supposed to be still and know that he is God. It's not our fight. So let God fight against his enemies because he said in his word that anyone who comes against his child has come against him. There is no fight for you. Now he will tell you to suit up. According to Ephesians chapter 6, put on your whole armor of God, your helmet of salvation, your breastplate of righteousness, your shield of faith, your sword of truth, which is the word of God, sword of the spirit, which is the word of God, and your loins girt and your feet shod. He'll tell you to suit up. Yes, he will. He'll tell you to suit up. But it's his battle. That's your mini protection that you can do for yourself on the home front. But he's the one going in, you know. That's not your enemy you're fighting against. That's the enemy coming through those that he could use. Satan goes to and fro in the earth, and he's seeking to devour who he may. He devours who he may. So when you read the Bible, you have to read it carefully. When we know that he seeks who he may, he devours who he may, that right there is an indicator that everyone can't be devoured by him. It's not for him to devour everyone. You understand what I'm saying? And that devouring is basically when those who they appeal to his suggestions, to those seducing spirits. Those are those who are hearing more of his voice than the voice of God. And so they fall for it. And so then they put themselves in a position to be able to be used by him. And in being used by him, they do his work. And his work is to come against God's children. And when you're a child of God, that means Satan is using somebody to come against you. Now, God didn't tell you who that person would or wouldn't be. Did he? No, he did not. But you can tell a tree by the fruit it bears. Did he not say that in his word? So, just because you don't have any enemies, it don't mean that you don't have any enemies. But those enemies are not your enemies. It's the enemy. Because we wrestle not with flesh and blood. It's not the person. It's not the people. See, when you're God's child, he'll teach you that. You don't come against that other person just because they're coming against you. Even though so-and-so is doing this, you got to know that it's the spirit that's using that person to do it. It's the spirit. Because a lot of people will come at you and they don't even really want to do that. They're just doing it because they can't tell that demon no. They can't. Being used at the time. Because the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. The spirit inside of them might be willing to not handle things that way. The spirit inside of them might be crying out to do something a little bit different, but the flesh is so weak, the thought process, the mind, the heart. Because the enemy works in the flesh and God works in the spirit. Okay, so let's let God fight our battles. Be still. Hold your peace. Let him fight his enemies, because when they come against you, they're not your enemies. They're his. Okay? Okay? All right. 22 says, at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh. Neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. That means you ain't even got to be scared of the beasts of the earth. Running from no dog walking down the street, no none of that. You don't have to be afraid of them. For thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field. League together with the stones of the field. They won't even see you as a threat. And the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. God will make all this so. He already has. How? According to your faith and what he just said. If you receive that for yourself, then it belongs to you. In Jesus' name. And he's just that simple. And people think he's so complicated. No, he's not. According to your faith, you will receive. According to your faith and trust in what he said to you. You believe that what he said, then yeah, that's yours for the taking. I take that for you. Yeah, I ain't got to worry about no beasts on the earth. My Father says so. He says so. Okay. And the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. They're going to be at peace with you, whether you at peace with them or not. And thou shalt know that thy tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy habitation, and shalt not sin. Thy habitation is your dwelling place where you live. You'll go home and ain't got to worry about sinning. Thou shalt be at peace. Your tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy habitation, and shall not sin. Ain't none of that for you. When you his child, when you the poor, when he looking out for you, when you, like I said, he started me from verse 11 to set up, and I know what I prayed to him, and this was the answer. To set up on high those that be low, that those which mourn may be exalted to safety. This is for those who are low. This is for the poor. This is for the needy. This is for those who mourn, the brokenhearted, the downtrodden. This is for these. Those who hurt for one reason or another. Those who are hoping for something. All of this goodness is for those. All of everything that he said he'll do, this is who that's for. Okay? 25. Thou shalt know also that thy seed shall be great, and thine offspring as the grass of the earth. What is your seed? Your seed, your children. Your children shall be great. Thou shalt know also. Know that too. That your children are going to be great. Don't worry about what it looks like. Don't worry about what it feels like. But you know, God can shift the whole atmosphere in your favor. Turn the tables. Do you not know this being his child? Because if you don't, you need to know it. He got the power to turn this whole thing around. He's unsearchable, remember? And he's marvelous. Remember? Mighty are the works of his hands. There's nothing too hard for him, and there's nothing that he cannot do. He is God Almighty, and he is God, and he is God alone. Be still and know that he is God. I'm telling you, that thing been ringing out all week. Be still and know. Thou shalt know also as well. And you're gonna know, and to add it to it. Also, that thy seed shall be. And that shall be is slanted in my Bible. Now, I don't know how it looks in y'all. But in verse 25, that shall got a slant on it. Thou shalt know also that thy seed shall be great. Shall, your children shall be great. You want it? Take it for yourself. Alright? Take it for yourself. You cannot receive from him, but you will not receive from him. Take it for yourself. And thine offspring as the grass of the earth. Oh, wow. Grass. Father, let it be green. And let it be wet with fresh dew. And let the sun shine upon it all the days of its life, my offspring. Thank you, Father. Thou shalt come to thy grave in a full age. That means you don't have to worry about death coming to you. You're going to be good and old. God going to allow you to see many years. Good and old. A full age. Like as a shock of corn coming in his season. Plentiful. Your life will have been plentiful. Beautiful. He will give you much of it. This is the blessing. This is how he blesses. Last verse. Lo this. Lo this. Hello. Lo this. We have searched it. Who is we? Lo this. That means know this. We have searched it. That means we done studied. Who is we? Who are we? Who is the we on verse 27 that's being spoken of? Lo this. We have searched it. So it is. Those are strong words. Though in this Bible, those are strong words. Lo this. We have searched it. So it is. Hear it. And know thou it for thy good. Oh, wow. See, that just wrapped it all up for me. That just wrapped it all up. This whole chapter 5. The last verse on chapter 5, that just wrapped it all up for me. That means know it. When he say it like that, know it with a surety. Know it with faith. Know it and trust it. All that he said about the bad of it, all that he said about the good of it, Know it in spirit. Wrap it right on up. Know that every word of it was true. Lo this. We have searched it. Like I said, who is the we? Because the enemy ain't going to search that. How do we know the enemy ain't going to search it? Because the last thing it say, and know thou it for thy good. The enemy don't want that for your good. So who is the lo this? We have searched it. Who are the we? I mean, we done looked this thing up. We done paid attention throughout the generations, throughout life. So it is. That means it is so. Change those words, those 3 words, to where you got an understanding for your day and time. So it is. It's written in that way. So it is. It is so. Hear it. Hear it. Hear it. Receive it. Hear it. Hear it with your spirit. Hear it. Hear it with your physical ears, but don't hear it with your physical ears until you hear it with your spirit. Hear it. Know it. It is so, and it is for thy good. Lo this. Know this. Know it. Know it. Because they have searched it out. Whoever they are, I sure thank them. Thank you for searching this out. This is what we need. That was encouraging right there. I know it was a little rocky start because I was, when he gave it to me this afternoon, I was like, oh, joke, Father. You keep sending me down this road. I'm ready to get off this road. I want to do some prosperity ministering too. But he's giving me, he's lightening it up for me a little bit. I'm not going to complain at all, regardless either way, because he's using me the way he sees fit. But this was lighter for me today. This was lighter than normal. This was good. This was good for me. I pray that it was good for you. And let me encourage anybody out there, if you are anything like the foolish man and the silly man, if you know in your spirit that you've been that person, you know in your spirit that you've been divisive and foolishly taking root, and that you've been killing yourself being foolish enough to do it because of envy and wrath. If you know someone who is like this, let them know how they're hurting their children. Then again, you don't have to. I mean, pray for them. Pray for them because they need prayer. We are commanded as his children, siblings, to love one another. And loving one another is not always an easy thing to do. Because think about your physical family. You got some family members in that thing that you just be like, where did you come from? Like, what are you doing? We all have. None of us are exempt. Play with it. Play with it. Tell me your family is to where you don't have at least one that you be looking upside their head like, but back it up, no, because we're not supposed to judge, right? So if we know that physical family can be difficult, you understand what I'm saying? Imagine being a child of God and being commanded to love everybody. You got to find a way. We have to find a way. And so that love should lead us to prayer for them. We got to pray for them. You know somebody, pray for them. Pray for them. Because sometimes talking to them don't always lead them in the way that we feel they should go. And sometimes talking to them don't always lead them in the way that God feels they should go. Sometimes you got to pray for people behind their back. And you can't let them know that you're praying for them and what you're praying for them about to get better. Because people will fight you. They'll fight you on, you ever try to help somebody and try to do what's best for them? You could see it. They couldn't. And even if they did see it, they rejected it. But they didn't want it to be seen by you. So they fight it on or push it. Sometimes the best way to help somebody is to not even let them know that you're trying to help them. It's real like that now, because we've gotten a certain kind of way. There's darkness on the earth and gross darkness on the people. You can't sit down and have a conversation with everybody because they're going to be too quick to want to spare yourself the trouble and just go to the Father on their behalf and make sure that you have a sincere heart. Make sure your heart is clear. Make sure you're speaking to the Father in sincerity and from a good place. Not for how somebody made you feel. Not for what they did wrong to you. Not for when you're holding on to something. No, you cannot bring that wrath and that hatred. And if you show up in prayer with it, be real, because the Father knows how you feel anyway. Oh, Father, I'm angry right now. Be real with Him. We can't go to Him lying. Ask Him to help you with how you're feeling. This is how we get better. This is what He wants from us. This is how we get better. This is how we become whole. Not broken, not damaged, not wounded. And if you are, there's nothing wrong with you. Because if we weren't like that, then we wouldn't need Jesus. We wouldn't need God. So there's nothing wrong with being that way. We are all a work in progress. But we don't all begin at the same place. And we don't all end at the same place. But we do all need Jesus. Whether we all know that or not. We do. We do. So sometimes you have to pray for a person. You don't have to let them know, but pray for them. And be real about it. Be sincere about it. Humble yourself. Try. And if you find in your heart that you can't get past a certain place, then you know what you need to work on for yourself. You need to work on loving. Learn how to love other people. Try to learn to love other people. Because that might be coming from a place of unforgiveness or resentment. So now, see, everything is a process. God will give you what you need to work on. It's levels to it. And nobody can tell you going in what the level is, because we're all in different places. But when you decide to finally go in, He'll show you. He'll show you for yourself. He will. And it takes courage to see that He's opened that door for you to go in, and you make the decision. Okay. It takes courage to go. And it takes strength. And if you don't have the strength or the courage to go in, that's still Him letting you know what process of it you're at. Pray, go to Him for strength. Go to Him for courage. Because His strength is made perfect in our weakness. And He will be strong for us. The Lord is my strength, remember? In the book of Psalms. He is my strength. A very present help in time of trouble. We just got finished reading that. Last video. Be still. And know that He is God. See, what you don't have in yourself, don't beat yourself up about what you don't have. Don't beat yourself up about what other people try to make you believe that you don't have. Don't beat yourself up. Because you don't have to. And you don't have to let nobody else beat you up either. Verbally or with actions that they do. You don't have to take that in. That's not for you to take in. And your Father don't want you to. Anyway. It's not for us to beat ourselves up. And it's not for us to allow anyone else to beat up on us either. It's for us to all understand that we all have flaws. We all need something. We all are missing something, and we all want love. Whether all of us admit to that or not, all of us just want a certain kind of love inside that's making us feel wrath, envy, hatred. All this crazy stuff is coming from a place where we feel like we're lacking a certain kind of love. Want to know the truth about it? There you go. We just haven't gotten to the place, all of us yet, where we acknowledge that it's Jesus. That's that love that we really need. It's a whole, pure, nothing lacking. He is love. He is that. And we haven't all accepted Him to feel that place yet. So we require it in different ways because we think that's what we're really after. No, it's the love. It's a place of brokenness. It's a place of longing. That's what it is. When you know you're loved the way He loves you, you feel more confident. You know how to be confident. When you know that you're loved, you don't let things that people do and say around you bother you like that anymore. When you know that you love by Jesus like that, you just don't put all your focus on the negative, what's lacking, what's wrong all the time. When you got the love of Christ in you like that, you're able to take in the positivity. You're able to walk outside and look up and see how beautiful the sky is in the sun, and smell the breeze, and look at the season we're in, and the trees and the flowers that's blooming, and the birds chirping. You're able to hear those things instead of think about, oh, you walk outside, I'm so tired of that old car. I'm just really, that car gonna be that car gonna be there. But can you see what God is trying to show you? Can you? Are you in a place where you can actually take in something good? Can we still do that? Are we even paying attention to those things that we go past every day and we don't give it any focus? We don't take time to really appreciate the things that God gave us. The grass, the trees, the wood on the trees, the different types of trees, the leaves, the wind. Cool breeze went by my face and it was hot. I didn't have to pay nobody to get that. My Father gave it to me for free. The sun, how bright it's shining, and to know that even though that thing is way up there, millions and millions of miles away, I can still feel the heat from it here on the earth. In the place in which I'm standing right now, my Father don't allow me to be burnt up to a crisp. I appreciate what He does. And my son can soak up the heat and the warmth from it. And to know that I'm still here to draw breath and I'm still alive. I still see, I still know, I still feel, I still love, I still am in this way, in this form, in this time, now. And I appreciate that thing that He gave me that no man could have given me. Therefore, no man can take that away. This is what I focus on. This is what I'm blessed to have. This is what I receive. The life that He gave me. The life He gave me. I got it. I got it. And I don't have to live it according to what somebody else wants to see done with it. Not their will, Father God. Not even my will, but Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We got to learn how to just be the children He created us to be and understand that. We all got that power. We all got that strength. We just won't use it. We don't want to. We rather not tap into what He gave us and focus on what He gave somebody else and get upset, envious, and wrathful and angry because somebody else is going full throttle with what God gave them to do. But He gave us all a work to do. We just not all doing the work that He gave us. And so we're really not angry with each other. And we're really not jealous of each other. We're really upset with ourselves. Because we don't want to admit that we were too weak to go. And too scared to try in that way. That's the truth. That's the truth. And because of that, we don't want to focus on what we need to work on for ourselves. We'd rather tear somebody else down that decided to take off and go according to what he wanted. That's what it's really about. But we all gotta walk, y'all. We all gotta walk. And that walk don't have nothing to do with the next person's walk, because you can't get me into the kingdom. And I can't get you into the kingdom. But somebody going. And I done made up my mind, I don't see why it can't be me. That's just all where I'm at with it. I ain't trying to outdo nobody else. I ain't trying to hurt nobody. I'm not trying to destroy nobody. I ain't trying to steal, kill, or destroy nothing that my Father gave nobody else in no kind of way. I don't have to. He knows my name. And I know him. And all his children are supposed to be feeling like that. I gotta take nothing from you in order to have. I don't. He said in his word, it rains on the just and the unjust. He's good to the righteous. He's good to the unrighteous. It don't matter if you're the most evil person in the world, waiting for the electric chair. You still drawing breath. He's still being good to you because you're still here. That's just how good he is. His children know that. So why be mad with? He's the father of all flesh, the creator of all flesh. I'm going to be mad with you for because I'm not doing what Dad told me to do. I know what he told me to do. And why are you going to be mad at me? Because I'm doing what he told me to do. That's foolish. It is. Let's just all do what he told us to do. He gave me a work. He gave you a work. He gave all of us a work to do. And he didn't send us empty-handed. We all got our own anointings that he gave us. We all got our gifts that he gave us. We all got something that we good at. He gave it to us so that we can use it to build the kingdom. Whatever it is, your work is, he sent you here to do in this earth. It's for his glory. And it's going to have something to do with him and his kingdom. Always. And that's why you're here. That's why. If you're confused, how do I know what God sent me here to do? That's just a hint. I can't give it to you. I don't know what he sent you here, but he knows. But maybe if you would humble yourself and get down on your knees and come to him like a child, innocent and pure in heart, withholding nothing, lying about nothing, no pride, no nothing. Just get down before your father like a little child. Like I don't know nothing, I'm innocent, I'm naive, I still got the sparkle in my eye. Ding. Come to him like that. Hey Dad. That's what he's looking for. No matter how old you are, this is what he wants of us. And he'll give it to you. He'll give it to you. If you trust and believe that he will. And even if he don't give it to you right away, stay tuned. You got to keep that spirit of expectation because he'll test you a little bit to see who you really are. Now, are you asking me this because your heart got to be pure? It can't be because I want to have an anointing or a gift that outdo so-and-so. No. You see, we cannot come into his presence with a spirit that's not like him. He will not have the enemy around him. We can't come to him with envy and hatred in our heart. We can't come into his presence like that. You can't do that. Don't bring that to him. He's not having that. That's like going up for the slam dunk shot and and God said, get that out of here. And slap your basketball. Get that out of here. Not accepted. He's God. We have to honor him. We have to understand who he is the best we can. We cannot fathom him. We don't know. So you better come to him like you don't. Because he said that the beginning of wisdom is to fear him. Fear means to fear him, to be scared. Yeah, in that way too. Yeah, be scared. You better be scared. Because he's God. But when he says to fear him, he also means to honor him, to respect him, to acknowledge him. He is the King of kings. Come in his presence, which you humble yourself. You know what you is, what you do. You know what you made of. You know what you just said. You know what you just did. We know we filthy. We know he ain't right. And he know it too. You better come in front of him like that because he's all holy and he's all pure. There's no spot, no blemish, no nothing, no wrinkle. There's no imperfection in him. Bring your nasty self before perfection. And come before perfection like you know what you are. And you know what he is too. And come like a child. And this is how we understand now? Humble yourself. Talk to him. Just bring it to him. And even if you don't know how to cut that off before you go, then I suggest Go anyway and just start talking. Don't not go because you don't know how to cut that feeling off. Go anyway and just start talking to him. Go. Don't let the enemy fool you and make you feel like you've done so much wrong that you cannot go in the presence of your Father. Don't let the enemy fool you and make you think that. Don't ever let him fool you and make you think that you've done so much wrong that you cannot go in his presence. Don't ever let the enemy fool you into that. Go and try. Because what can you lose trying to do what's right in his eyes? The clock is winding down. We don't have a lot more time. And I'm telling you, I ain't saying all this stuff because I got it all together. Oh, trust and believe. A lot of things I say to y'all, I say it only because I know it. But I can still feel a little bit in my spirit like, you need to work on that, work on that, and that. I be getting a lot of too. Just to let you know. It don't be one or two every night. No, I get a lot of because I'm one of them too. I am. But I've been graced. And I've been blessed. And I acknowledge who gave it to me. And I'm grateful for it because I know what I've done, where I've been, what I've said. I know me. But he knew me and knows me more. And this is what makes me so much more grateful by the way that he blessed me. And he gave me time. And so even though I got a lot of stuff, I still go anyway. Because I want to at least be trying to do the best I could with the assignment that you gave me when you come back here. That's just me. That's just me. And I suggest anybody else, just try. Just try. Don't give up on yourself. And don't give up on God. He made you. And he loves you with a love you don't even understand. We don't even understand. But we know. But we don't know. But he took it and didn't open his mouth for us. We know. We hear it. We mash the gas over it. But we don't know. That was Satan's chance to get his hands on the Son of God. You think that thing just went just like you just read it and he took that. He didn't open his mouth. He took it. He took it. And then when he did open his mouth, he prayed for the ones that was doing it to him. See, he came and showed us how. He came and showed us how. And we don't have it in us to do it. But we can call on him. That's a blessing right there. To be able to call on him. Help me, Jesus. Help me, Lord. Help me. You understand? Y'all, I pray because I can ramble on. I told y'all, or y'all thought I was playing. I don't ever get tired of talking about my Father. I don't. This is the thing that he gave me. I love him so. And I know I still don't love him like I'm supposed to, but I love him. I love talking about him. He's been so good to me. He has been so good to me. And I'm not bragging. Because if you're watching this, he'd have been that good to you too. I'm just saying. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I can't tell it all. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. When nobody could have delivered me. I'm grateful. When no one was there and didn't want to. It was him. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. Every day of my life I wake up. I open my eyes, I'm in my right. I can take another breath. I'm grateful. Every meal he gives me. The roof over my head. The fact that I can feel, got all my limbs, can move about. I'm grateful. Money in my pocket, I'm broke. I'm grateful. And I'm not gonna stop being that nigga. I'm his child. And no matter what situation, because I've been through situations where he afflicted me like that, and I held on to him and I made it through. And that's the thing that caused me to make it through. He didn't leave me there. He brought me through it on the other side. I'm blessed. He knows me. He knows me. So I'm grateful for him allowing me to know him. I'm thankful, y'all. I'm thankful. And I pray that you feel the same way, siblings. Let that be encouraging to you. Encouraged out here. Be encouraged out here. We in this world, but we're not of it. We will make it through. It's meant for us to make it through. It's meant for us to make it through. He talking to you. He using my mouth, but he's talking to you. Just like sometimes I watch certain things, he be using somebody else's mouth, but he be still talking to me. He's talking. He's talking. Let him have his way. It's time for us to stop fighting. And I pray that you take this word for yourself. Take it for yourself and let it do what he wants to do. Let his will be done, because it's going to be done anyway. And I pray that this was an encouraging word for you in the hour of encouragement. Like I said before, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Because hey, let's let this thing get out. And I'm here for you. This is what he sent me to do. And I can't do it if I can't do it. But it's meant for me to do. And I'm doing it. So it's going to be done. I'm just saying, join the family. Join the family. Because I enjoy you being here with me. I like your presence. And I feel that God got something for you. I feel like God got something for you. I feel like this is a place where you can find a safe haven. This is like a safe haven of sorts. You know, the world knocking us around a little bit. Call themselves just going at us. We can run into this place. This is a place where we can come as his children and just be together. I love you. And I pray that you love me too. Because we're commanded to do so. And I know the Father loves us all. And I pray that you are encouraged today. I hope this strengthens you. I pray that this strengthens you. Like I always say, sisters and brothers, it's not about me. It's not about you. But it's all about us doing what the Father said to do. Until next time, love you guys.